Hello everyone and welcome back to Lifting the Veil. Today's going to be a great episode. We are doing episode 5, and in episode 5 we're going to discuss Auguste Piccard, who's a historical figure that we hear very little about. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so I want to talk to you about a man that you don't hear much about. In fact, I don't recall hearing the first mention of his name in any history class that I've ever taken. And regardless of that fact, a man by the name of Auguste Piccard did exist. Auguste Antoine Piccard, born January 28, 1884, and died March 24, 1962, was a Swiss physicist, an inventor and explorer, known for his record-breaking helium-filled balloon flights, with which he studied the Earth's upper atmosphere. Piccard was also known for a number of unmanned dives in 1948 to explore the ocean's depths. In August of 1931, Popular Science magazine published an article in which they interviewed Piccard regarding his record-breaking balloon flight into the stratosphere. It was an unheard-of undertaking at that time. Piccard is the first man in history to reach the stratosphere. Everyone was anxious to hear his findings, and the article contained this quote from Auguste Piccard. "It seemed a flat disc with an upturned edge." That's Dr. Auguste Piccard, 1931, from Popular Science magazine, the August edition of 1931, on page 23. Now, that's an interesting description of the Earth from 52,000 feet. Of course, this was before the founding of NASA. This is before every major scientific discovery that could possibly prove the Bible to be true got covered up within hours. This was real science. He was testing his theories by observing. And today's science concerning cosmology is mostly theories that are proven using complex equations and simulated testing. Now, what I find to be very telling of the way modern science attempts to cover up the truth is the fact that you are hard-pressed to find information on this historic achievement. I have seen the actual page of the magazine. It was published and copies were distributed. However, today, 90% of the articles that you will find concerning this interview are related in some way to conspiracy. You know, that magic word that gets used when someone wants to discredit something that's being said. It doesn't change the facts of history. It just attempts to discredit them by making anyone who shows an interest in this topic feel like a crazy person. Another thing about Auguste Piccard is the fact that now, when you search him, his Wikipedia page is conveniently missing the quote about Earth looking like a flat disc with an upturned edge. And instead, the line has been added, "Piccard and Kepler are widely considered the first people to visually observe the curvature of the Earth." Now, his original interview in Popular Science said nothing about curvature. It actually said the opposite. So, I guess when history doesn't support the multi-billion-dollar model that has been created, we just change history. And this should just be one of many red flags concerning modern cosmology. You know, as this series progresses, we're going to uncover a recurring theme of cover-ups. Pre-NASA information is getting harder and harder to come by, and almost anything dealing with this topic has either been buried in the search engines or attempts have been made to discredit the people who do talk about it. In fact, YouTube, Google, and other prominent social media platforms have put out statements saying that they will remove videos that discuss conspiracy theories, especially flat Earth, because they are a danger to society. Now, all throughout history, when things were banned or deemed a danger to society, it was often an attempt to cover up or silence someone who actually posed a threat to whatever agenda that the government had at the time. and I don't believe it's any different with this topic. 5 years ago, you could find many reliable videos and articles that offered information on these topics. Today, you either have to wade through pages and pages of videos with misleading titles that turn out to be a debunking video with the sole purpose of mocking anyone who thinks outside the box. Or you need to already be subscribed to a channel that produces reliable content. Sadly, many of those channels are disappearing every day. Their videos are getting strikes on them and being removed from the platform. They're being buried in the search algorithms, and in many cases, they're being overran with what is referred to as trolls, and just choosing to close their channels altogether rather than deal with a headache. However, there are still a few good resources out there, and I recommend that you check them out. Channels like Founded Earth Brothers are great resources for digging deep into the topic of biblical cosmology. Also, West Blaze Music has a series called Uncommon Ground, and it is an excellent series that digs deep into every aspect of the topic of biblical cosmology. I also recommend that you check out Truth About Cosmology. Matthew Beavers from Back to the Covenant has this channel, and he does a great job of digging into the topic. Also, you've got Hanging on His Words, which is another great channel that deals with this topic. And last but not least, Kingdom in Context has wonderful information concerning biblical cosmology, as well as a plethora of other biblical topics that I highly recommend that you check out. Now, if the information concerning what many people call flat Earth is so false and completely ridiculous, why not just let people talking about it make fools of themselves? Why expend all of the energy to silence them? Why create policies and update algorithms to search for and scrub those videos from the internet? The reason should be obvious, and that reason is to silence truth. No one takes those measures if the content being shared isn't harmful to them in some way. If the notion of Earth being as the Bible describes it is truly absurd and moronic, as it is often put, then why wouldn't you just ignore the people talking about it and move on? But that isn't the case. Resources are being used, money is being spent, time is being consumed to absolutely crush anything remotely associated with biblical cosmology. And that means that the powers that be are afraid of a mass awakening. Now, if you like what you've seen in this series so far, stick around for the next episode, because in the next episode, we're going to move forward a few years beyond Picard, and we're going to look at another famous explorer and something called the Antarctic Treaty.